Good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? You can reply and chat if I'm audible or not. I'll be able to see that. Guys, whatever you type, I'll be able to see it. Others won't be able to see it, so it's fine. Yeah. So I'm audible. So let's start, guys. So let me introduce myself. I'm CA Karthik Manik Karthik. I've been teaching for a couple of years and been working in Big Four. I've taken many batches for CA Foundation Law, and we're starting today. So the agenda for this next 2 weeks. Let me give you the agenda for the next 2 weeks. I hope you can see my screen. First, we will start with the Indian Contract Act. Once we are done with the Indian Contract Act, we will move either to Indian Partnership Act or Sale of Goods Act based on how Indian Contract Act goes. And then lastly, we will take up Companies Act and LLP and close it. This is the agenda starting today from 29 September, as actually it's yesterday, 28 September till October 12th. So by October 12th, we will be done with the entire syllabus. Now, the first important thing is the lectures will be broken down into two parts. First part will be where I will be sharing with you pre-recorded videos, which I recorded in the month of June, and I'll be recording even now, Sale of Goods Act and few topics with you on a daily basis. You have to watch them before the live class. Now, sir, I already know these topics. I don't want to watch the recordings and waste my time. It's absolutely fine. You can revise at your own end using your own material and content. Please revise at your own end. Recordings are not mandatory for everybody. It's only for you to revise the concepts much faster way. Otherwise, you can revise using your own method. In the live class, what are we going to do in the live class? Now, in the live class, guess I'm audible. So I think that it's raining heavily down here. So if I'm not audible, just let me know. Okay. So in the live class, what we'll be doing is, in the live class, we will be solving past exam questions, all important questions, and then yeah, I think it's clear. Only two people are saying it's not clear, but just check. Join over thing, it's clear. Yeah, perfect. So in the live class, we'll be solving the questions, and I'll be taking up all your doubts, whatever doubts you have. Whenever I request you guys, you can unmute and you can talk. Clear, guys? Any doubts till now before I proceed into the subject? Okay. Okay. So I'm getting messages from everybody, Shristika, Soumya, Ronak, everyone. So if there's any issue, you can type it. Initial few days, guys, initial few days until the class is fine, I'll keep the chat in private mode. Later, I'll keep it on public, but again, if there's any issue, I'll change it back to private. So that's how it's planning. So don't worry, there won't be any disturbance when I'm in control. Nobody can do like change to Zoom. So it's perfect. No. So I will not be now when it comes to exam importance, all of you might already be aware. First most important topic for your exam in law, the first most important topic is the Indian Contract Act. So we will start with that. Second important topic based on attempt, sometimes it's Sale of Goods Act and sometimes it's Partnership Act, equal weightage for both. So we will take them up next after Indian Contract Act. Then third weightage will be for your Companies Act and Limited Liability Partnership Act. Clear, guys? So we'll start with the subject. I hope all of you have revised. Can you just type? I want this class to be as interactive as possible. Interaction is very important. I will keep it interactive, so don't worry. I'll ask everyone to talk and you guys can talk to me. So now, have you all watched the videos? Have you revised the first unit? Okay, perfect. So you can open the handout. I'll also open it. See guys, you might not be able to zoom it properly. If you just zoom on the screen, you will be able to see it. Otherwise, have another device to open the questions separately so that we can discuss them. Okay, this time I don't want to waste much time in explaining concepts here, unless if somebody has a doubt, we'll discuss those concepts. Otherwise, we will straight away get into the questions. So what I'll give you all 2 minutes time. This is how the class is going to work. I'll give you all 2 minutes time. Go through question number 1. True or false, always have a notebook next to you. Please have a notebook next to you. And in the notebook, I want you guys to, it's very important to have a notebook, and in notebook, you will write your answers. Clear guys? You will write your answers in the notebook. Therefore, I'm giving you 2 minutes time now. Just go through the first question, true or false. Go through all the questions and then we'll discuss in a minute from now. Can we start discussing this? Enough time for the questions. Can we start discussing the questions? Guys, I want you to respond. Okay, so I'll pick somebody at my choice and they will read the questions for me. So is there anybody who wants to read the question? I'll unmute them. Okay, Shrishtika, can you read the question for us?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
A valid agreement may be voidable at the option of the aggrieved party. True.
What is the answer for this?
True.
So read the question, guys. A valid agreement may be voidable at the option of the aggrieved party. Now what I'll be doing is I'm going to shift from this, keep the PDF at your end. I'm going to go to the white screen to show you the screen. Okay, so the first question says a valid agreement may be voidable at the option of aggrieved party. The answer is false. The answer is only a valid contract. A voidable contract, the term is voidable contract, is voidable at the option of agreed party. A valid agreement is not voidable at the option of agreed party. Therefore, answer for A is false. First one is false. Second, Shrishtika, read second question.
So I don't have the PDF. I'm using the same device.
Okay, I'll just present it again. Then I'll do one thing. Wait. Yeah, okay, read the second question.
Collateral transactions to avoid agreement also become void.
Answer for this.
True.
No, see,
False.
collateral transactions. The question here says collateral transactions to avoid agreement also become void. Now, if you read the textbook, they are saying there are two types of agreements: void agreements versus illegal agreements. Now, void agreements versus illegal agreements. What do you mean by an illegal agreement? I'll give you an example for this, guys. Let's say there are three people, A, B, and C. A is paying money to B 10 lakhs, asking B to kidnap C. Able to understand, guys? A is paying 10 lakhs to B, asking B to kidnap C. Now, this agreement between A and B, it is a illegal agreement, correct? It's an illegal agreement based on the provisions of the act. Now, we are not going to get into conceptually further unless you have a doubt. You can type it out. Now, let's say for paying this 10 lakhs, A has taken a loan from D. He has taken a bank loan from D for 10 lakhs. Collateral agreements means this agreement between D and A is a collateral agreement for the agreement between A and B. So collateral agreement to void agreements also become void as false. The answer is false. The provision says only collateral agreements to an illegal agreement is void. Collateral agreements to a void agreement is not void. Able to understand, guys? Can I proceed to next question? You guys can type it out. Okay, next one. Shrishtika, read the next one, no?
Express contract is made by words and writing only.
Answer.
False.
See, others can also type your answers. I'm reading everything over here. Express contract can be made in writing only. Answer is false. Vidya, correct answer. Express contract can be made in writing or it can also be made in oral form. Therefore, it is false. Correct. All of you can type your answers, guys. I'm reading it. Divya, Vidya, Sridhar, Saidarni, and Bhavna. Good. Next. Fourth question. All contracts are agreements. Shrishtika, answer.
True.
D is true. When you're typing the answer, please write the letter D true, E true. So I'll know. Yeah, perfect. Fourth one is also true. Correct. Shrishtika, read the fifth one, no?
A notice that the goods stated in the notice will be sold by tender amounts to an offer to sell.
Answer, guys, for fifth one.
Sir, I didn't understand this.
Yeah, I'll just wait for others. I'll just wait for other answers. So answer for this, all of you got it correct. Most of you saying it's false. That is correct. The question here says a notice that the goods stated in the notice will be sold by tender amounts to offer to sell. No, it only amounts to invitation to sell. Sir, can you explain E? Yeah, I'll explain E since many of you asked me for E. Okay, let me explain the E point. See what they're saying in point E, a notice that the goods stated in the notice will be sold by tender amounts to an offer to sell. Now, let's say there is Mac showroom. All of you know Mac showroom or Adidas showroom. You have gone to shopping malls, correct? Now, in the entrance of the shopping malls, Max, Adidas, or any shopping mall you take, correct? Either your answer is correct. No. Let's say they put up a board, 50% sale. They put up a board, 50% sale. Now, this board 50% sale is a notice that the goods stated in the notice. What is the goods stated? Let's say Max is saying some clothes or Adidas is saying some shoes, etc. Goods stated in the notice will be sold by tender amounts to offer to sell. Now, is this an offer to sell? No. This is only an invitation to offer. What happens next? Let me explain. Now, once they put 50% sale, you get excited. Oh, Adidas shoe I'm getting for 50% discount. It's a good time to buy. You enter the showroom. You enter Adidas showroom. Let's say you're Sai Dharni. Now, Sai Dharni is entering the showroom. She's asking the Adidas shopkeeper, I want to buy the shoe for 50% sale. But what is happening? The shopkeeper is saying, no, I don't want to sell it to you. Sai Dharni is saying, I have the money. I will pay you the money. Shopkeeper, let's say Ronak is the shopkeeper, he says, no, I will not sell it to you. Can Sai Dharni fight with the shopkeeper? No, because this 50% sale board, which here is a notice, it is only an invitation to an offer. After seeing this invitation to offer, Sai Dharni has gone to the shop to make an offer, and the shopkeeper has accepted and he has done an acceptance. Then only then it becomes an offer and acceptance. So I hope you guys have understood point number E. This is the concept of invitation to offer and offer. Next, question number F. So I'm getting answers. Sanjana says F. Shrishtika, can you read question
Yes.
number F?
The offer must not contain any term, the non-compliance of which would amount to an acceptance.
F, all of you.
True.
Yeah, true. I'm getting answers from everybody. Good. F is true. If you see one of the rules of valid acceptance, there is one point itself which says the offer must not contain any term, non-compliance of which would amount to acceptance. If anybody wants me to explain any point, you can type it out. Otherwise, I'm assuming you know it. Next. Shrishtika, can you read G?
A standing offer is an invitation to offer.
Answer.
True.
Let me wait for the answer. A standing offer and an invitation to offer. Now I'm getting mixed answers again. Some are saying true, some are saying false. The answer is true. Standing offer is an invitation to offer. Why meaning? What do you mean by standing offer? In types of offers, the last one, types of offers, is a standing offer. Basically, it's like a tender. It's like a tender. So all tenders are invitation to offers. All auction tenders are invitation to offer. Let me explain this for you. Since many of you have told false, let me explain. You know the concept of auction. Now, an standing offer to participate in the auction becomes an invitation to offer because it's open for some point of time. Next, Shrishtika, point number H.
Two offers which are similar in all respects made by two different parties to one person are known as cross offers.
Answer,
True.
guys. Answer for H. Very simple. Definition of cross offer: two parties making similar offer to each other. Now, what is cross offer? Conceptually, I've explained in the video. I hope you guys have watched it. Next, point number I. Shrishtika, can you read point number I for us?
An acceptance can be made even without the knowledge of the offer. True.
Answer. Guys, think. See, some are saying true, some are saying false. Majority are false. The answer is false. Answer for question number I is false. Let me explain. How can you make an acceptance without knowing knowledge of the offer? Let me give you a small example. Let's say you come out of the railway station. You want to travel to your house. So you're searching for an auto rickshaw near the station. Only if you ask the auto rickshaw guy, can you drop me at your house, at my house? He will drop you in the house. Otherwise, how is he going to drop you? He will not be able to drop you over there. Therefore, how can the auto rickshaw guy accept the offer to drop you even without the knowledge of the offer? He does not even know where you want to drop him. You are just coming out of the station. He's saying, I'll drop you. Can he do that? No, only with the knowledge of the offer, somebody can make the acceptance. So the knowledge of the offer is very important. Last one. Avoidable contract also remains enforceable by law. True or false? Gaurav, yes, I'll discuss H. I've just discussed H, Gaurav. Just let me know if you still have doubt. Okay, so last one, avoidable contract also remains enforceable by law. Answer is true. It is enforceable by law as long as the aggrieved party is not taking any action. J is enforceable by law as long as the aggrieved party is not taking any action. What do you mean by this? All of you know what is avoidable contract. Let's say A and B. A is forcing B and A is forcing B and he has entered into a contract. This is a voidable contract because of coercion. This contract is still valid unless B takes the action. No. Darshita, just give me a minute. I'll unmute you. Next, I'm just seeing the other questions. Now, cross offer, somebody has asked the question. Two offers which are similar in all aspects made by two different parties to one person are known as cross offers. Here we are assuming A and B are making offer to each other. That is the assumption over here. A and B are making two identical offers to each other. If A and B make an offer, similar offer to C, the question over here, if A and B make a similar offer to C, then that will not be a cross offer, guys. That will not be a cross offer. A and B should make it to each other. They make to some other party, it will not be cross offer. Clear, guys? Can I proceed? Harshal Suri, yeah. 1 second. Yes, Harshal, I've unmuted you. You can just talk if you want, but I don't see you respond.
Stand.
Yes, Harshal. Okay, you muted yourself again. Okay, what is the answer for H? Question H says two offers which are similar in all aspects made by two parties to one person are known as cross offers. Now here, reading by the statement, it is false. But if two parties, let's say A and B, make it to each other, then it becomes a cross offer. A and B make it to a third party C, then it is not a cross offer. Darshita, just 1 second, I'll unmute you. Darshita, I am requesting you to unmute, so you have to unmute on your own. I have made the request.
Yes, sir. So the doubt which I have is in the I case, an
Okay.
acceptance can be made even without the knowledge of the offer. So
Okay.
can the leading case be Lalman Shukla versus Gauri Dutt?
Yeah, it can be. Yes.
Yeah, that was my question. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, we'll proceed to next question. Next. So question number 2 and 3. So what I'll do now is I'll have someone read question number 2 and 3 together. Then you guys take a minute to go through the question and then give me the answer. So let me unmute. Darshita, can you read both the questions for us? I'm unmuting you.
Yes, sir. A shopkeeper displayed a pair of dress in a showroom and a price tag of rupees 10,000 was attached to the dress. Mrs. Sonia looked at the tag and rushed to the cash counter. Then she asked the shopkeeper to receive the payment and pack the dress. The shopkeeper refused to hand over the dress to Mrs. Sonia in consideration of the price stated in the price tag attached to the dress. Mrs. Sonia seeks your advice whether she can sue the shopkeeper for the above cause under the Indian Contract Act 1872. So shall I read the second question as well? Hello?
Yes,
Am I audible?
Yeah, go read the third question also. Correct,
Okay.
Chetna, your answer is correct. Gaurav also no answer is correct. Read the third question also. Yes.
Mr. X is a self-employed individual. He works on a freelance basis and provides service to various corporates. He is well versed with technology. He purchased a headset of rupees 20,000 from Flipkart and made the payment using internet banking, and Flipkart accepted his order. After a few days, Flipkart cancelled the order and refunded his amount. Mr. Suresh did not suffer any financial loss. However, the explanation given by Flipkart stated that the contract was avoided because contracts entered through electronic means are not legally enforceable and they have to be in writing. Mr. Suresh seeks your advice to know whether online contracts are legally enforceable. Advice with regards to the Indian Contract Act 1872.
Yeah, okay. So let me discuss the answers, guys. So all of you got the correct answer. Saidarni, correct answer. Divya, correct answer. So everybody who replied, yes, you got the correct answer. Gaurav, Vidya, yes. So all of you got the correct answer. So for second question is a very famous question in exam. It keeps coming in almost every attempt. It's the concept of invitation to offer. Here what is happening? Shopkeeper displayed pair of dress for a price tag of 10,000 was attached to the dress. Sonia liked the dress and she rushed to the cash counter to buy it. But the shopkeeper here refused to hand over the dress to Sonia. Sonia here wants to know if she can sue the shopkeeper. That is the question. Answer is no, she cannot sue the shopkeeper because here is
Actually,
only
लेक्चर चल रहा है, मैं तुझसे बाद में बात करती हूँ. हाँ, no problem. हाँ.
okay, yeah. So you cannot sue the shopkeeper. It's only concept of invitation to offer. I hope this one is very clear to everybody. If anybody has any doubt in any question, not able to understand that, I'll explain that in detail again. So please type out your doubts. Next. Question number 3. Here what they're saying is X is a self-employed employee. Yeah, Soumya, third answer correct. Yes, he can claim. You can type your answers, guys. Yeah, Soumya, third answer is correct. Okay. Is a self-employed employee. He works on a freelance basis and provides service to various corporates. Well versed with technology. He purchased headset for 20,000 from Flipkart and made the payment using internet banking. Flipkart accepted his order. So offer is made. Acceptance is also complete. Offer and acceptance is done. Now later Flipkart is saying the contract was avoided because the contract was entered through electronic mode, which are not legally enforceable. Now if you go to through the types of contracts, guys, remember guys, this is a crash course, so we will be very fast. Unless you have a doubt, I'll explain it very clearly. Types of contract based on enforceability and formation. E-contract is also valid. Just because e-contract is not entered in paper, e-contract is still valid. And Suresh will be able to sue Flipkart for this amount. Bharat, have you understood? No, Bharat, I'm not able to understand. Yeah. Many of you are asking me how to present this in exam. I will definitely show it now. Don't worry. Okay. Can you all see my whiteboard, guys? So I've already told this in the previous classes, but since many of you are new first time, I'll tell you how to present an exam. Okay. See, for law exam, how to present, it's very, very easy, guys. There are totally 3 types of questions. First is a direct question. They will ask you, for example, what are the different types of contracts based on formation? These are just like your school business studies for CBSE students and even for state board students or matriculation. Straightforward direct questions. Whatever is there in textbook, you will copy paste in your own words. These are simple questions and these are the majority. At least 50 to 60% of your exam will have direct questions. Next, differentiation questions. Again, very simple. They'll ask differentiate between void contract and voidable contract, etc. Different types of differentiation question. Very simple to present in exam. Follow as it is what is there in textbook. Write the basis, first column, on what grounds I'm differentiating, meaning, nature, examples. Then you can differentiate them. Always give an extra point example. This might not be there in your textbook, guys. For all the difference question, example might not be there, but you are another point example and you can write down the example. The first 2 types of questions are very simple, direct questions and different questions. Third one is case study based questions. Now, for example, question 2 and question 3. How do you present a case study based question? It's very simple. A case study based question should have 4 elements in your answer. First, write down the facts of the question. For example, in this Flipkart example, you will write down the story in 2 to 3 lines, summarize the facts. What is happening in the question? What is the situation? Flipkart made an acceptance of offer, then they rejected the offer saying e-contract is not valid. Just explain the facts in the question. Second paragraph, write the provision. The provision which relates to these facts. Here they're talking about the provision e-contract is valid. This you have to explain in your own words using the law terms. explain the provision. That is second part of the answer. So this will be your first para. This will be your second para. Third para will be your analysis para. You will analyze the facts with reference to the provisions, and you will analyze over here. In the above case, Mr. Suresh had purchased from Flipkart e-contract is valid, therefore contention of Flipkart is not valid. That analysis para you will write in third para. Fourth para, you will write your conclusion. Conclusion will generally be only 1 to 2 lines. That should be a final answer. Yes, he can sue. No, he cannot sue. For this, the breakup is there in the analysis. This is how you will structure it. Now, some students like to write the provision first, then the analysis, then the conclusion. However you want to interchange, you can interchange it, but it should be a logical interchangeable. You cannot go and write facts end of the question. No. Fact should always be first para or maximum second para. Then analysis is very important. You can interchange this, but I always prefer facts first, provision, analysis, and conclusion. In exam, sir, I am not having the time. If you're not having the time, you can skip facts. Okay, if there is no time, you can skip facts, but provision, analysis, and conclusion are mandatory in your exam. This is how we will present in the exam. Correct. Saidharni, for second question, for provision, we have to write, you have to explain what is the concept of invitation to offer. Correct. How long? See, length of the answer again depends, guys. If it's a 4 mark or 6 mark question, ideally at least 1 to 2 sides. 4 mark question, minimum 1 side. 6 marks, at least 1 to 2 sides. Again, guys, in my view, the size, the length does not matter. It's about the content and the quality of the content. It's all about the keywords and the quality of content. If you can write the entire answer aptly in the 1 page, you will get the entire marks. So guys, let's proceed. Let's proceed to questions again. I'm sharing the questions handout. Okay. Next. Question number 4. Kriti is asking, in different type of question, you can make our own example. Absolutely, yes. You can write your own example. No harm in that. Yes, it is preferable to write your own example, but ensure the example is a correct example. Now, question number 4. Anybody wants to read, or can I pick somebody for reading question number 4? So I want everyone to participate, guys. Therefore, I'll give everybody the opportunity. Divya has asked the requested, so I'm unmuting Divya. Divya, just unmute at your end also. Yeah, you can read question number 4.
Okay, sir. X of Agra sent a letter by post to Y of Delhi offering to sell his car for rupees 2 lakh. This letter is posted on 1st January and reaches Y on 7th January. Y sends its acceptance by post on 10th January, but X receives the letter of acceptance on 15th January. Answer each of the following question. When is the communication of offer complete?
Yeah, you read the entire question. Read the entire question. Then I'll give you all 2 minutes time. Then we'll discuss the answers.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
When is the communication of acceptance complete as against the offerer? Third, when is the communication of acceptance complete as against the acceptor? Fourth, if X sends a telegram on 8th January revoking his offer, and this telegram reaches Y before the letter of the acceptance is posted, is the revocation offer valid? Fifth point. If Y sends a telegram on 14th January revoking his acceptance and this telegram reaches X before the letter of acceptance is received by Y, is the revocation of acceptance valid? Sixth point. If Y sends a letter of acceptance and later sends a telegram revoking his acceptance and both reaches Mr. X on the same day, what is the implication?
Yeah, so good. Thank you, Divya.
Welcome, sir.
Yeah. So others can go through the question. I'll give you all 2 minutes time. Please go through the question. Now, it's not about me giving you the answer over here. If this comes in the exam, try to answer all the 6 points. This will be a proper exam question for 6 marks. So what you have to do is try to answer all the 6 questions. Try to answer all the 6. Take 2 minutes time and then I'll discuss this in detail. Very, very important question for exam. Examiner's favorite type of question also, an offer and acceptance concept. So take 2 minutes time.
Sir, but in each the point do we have to write all the fact, provision and everything?
Not
Every
required, not required. So see first for these kind of questions, you can first write, explain the provision first, entire provision, what relates to offer and acceptance, timing, revocation, all of that. That should at least easily go to 1 to 1.5 sides. Then you can write analysis and conclusion. For each point, you can give your answer. That's it.
Okay, sir.
Okay, let me discuss, guys. I'm just checking the answers. So 11 C answer is correct. 7, 10, 15. So 11 C, all the answers are correct. Yeah, it depends. Correct. All the answers are correct. So most of you have got the correct answer. Vidya, correct answer. Vidya, yes. Vidya, correct answer except the last one. 6 point I'll explain. Yeah, so most of you getting the answer. Bhavana, correct. 6th answer is correct. Okay, so let me explain, guys. Fairly simple problem, but favorite for examiner. Okay. Correct, guys. All of you have given the correct answer. No, Divya Bharati, third option is wrong. Your third option is wrong. Let me I'll explain this using the white screen. It's much more effective. Okay. Now it's a very simple question over here. I'll read the question now. X here, X is sending, for the benefit of others, X is sending an offer to Y. X has sent an offer to Y to sell his car for 2 lakhs. When is X sending the post? He is posting this on 1st of Jan. It reaches Y on 7th of Jan. It is reaching Y on 7th of Jan. And Y is sending his acceptance. Y is replying again. Y is replying back to X on 10th of Jan. And the acceptance letter is reaching X on 15th of Jan. These are the 4 dates they have given in the question. Date of posting 1st Jan, date of receipt of offer by Y is 7th Jan. He is responding with his acceptance on 10th of Jan, and that is reaching X on 15th of Jan. This is fairly clear in the question. For these kind of questions, always make a diagrammatic presentation to understand the facts. Now let's go question by question. First one, when is the communication of offer complete? Now, X has posted the letter on 1st Jan, but it's reaching Y on 7th of Jan. Therefore, offer is communicated on 7th of Jan. Now, let's take an example. I'm going to add another question. Let's say offer is reaching Y on 7th, but he's reading it only on 8th of Jan. Now, when is the offer complete? 7th or 8th? It will be 8th of Jan. It will be 8th of Jan. Clear, guys? Next. Second part of the question. Question number 2 says, when is the communication of acceptance complete as against the offerer? Who is the offerer here? X is the offerer because he is making the offer. So when is the communication of acceptance complete as against the offerer? The minute Y has posted the letter on 10th of Jan, look at it logically, guys. Assume Y has posting the letter on 10th. He has communicated his acceptance on 10th. Therefore, communication of acceptance as against X is complete on 10th of Jan, because after this day, only Y can change his decision, but X cannot change his decision because offer is already made. Y has accepted on 10th. Y has accepted on 10th. Next, third part of the question. When is the communication of acceptance complete as against the acceptor? Who is the acceptor here? Y is the acceptor because he received the offer and he is accepting the offer. In his viewpoint, when is acceptance complete? Think logically, guys. Y has posted the acceptance on 10th, no doubt in that. But the post is reaching X only on 15th. So any time before 15th, he can revoke his acceptance. He can revoke his acceptance because only Y has posted the acceptance. Acceptance has still not reached X. Therefore, before 15th, he can revoke the acceptance. Therefore, he has time until 15th. So acceptance is complete as against the acceptor only on 15th. So answer for first, second, and third question are: first is 7th, second is 10th, and third is 15th. Most of you got this correct. Logically also, I hope there is no issues. Next, fourth part of the question says, if Y sends a telegram on 14th revoking his acceptance and the telegram reaches X before the letter of acceptance is received, is the revocation valid? So what they are saying here, Y is sending a telegram to X that reaches him on 14th. He's saying he wants to cancel this acceptance. He does not want to buy the car for 2 lakhs. So X is receiving 2 letters, one on 14th telegram, one on 15th, which is a letter, which is reaching first. X is getting a telegram first. Therefore, it is still valid. Revocation of acceptance is valid because telegram is reaching X before the letter which is reaching on 15th. Last one. If Y sends a letter of acceptance and later sends a telegram revoking his acceptance and both reach X on the same day. Now assume you're X, you got 2 letters in post. Postman is giving you letter on 15th. Same day he's giving you telegram also because same person gives it. Postman only gives both. He's giving telegram and letter both on the same day. Now you are X. What are you going to do? It depends on your action. If you open the letter of acceptance first, then the offer will be accepted. If you open the telegram first, then the acceptance will be revoked. Depends on which you open first. So this will be depending case to case based on the question. Understanding, guys? Can I proceed? No, I will not be sharing answers for this, Narshita. Next, Divya, 4 and 5th point, I didn't understand. 4th one, okay. Divya and Gaurav, should I explain the 4th one again? I'll do it again. Absolutely not an issue. Shall I do it again, guys? Divya and Gaurav, you can just type out. Yes, okay. So I'll do it for benefit of them. Okay. See, guys, 4th and 5th are very simple. Y has posted the letter on 10th of Jan. It can be any month. Just say 10th of the month. It's reaching X on 15th. I hope this part you have all understood. This part I hope you all understood. It's reaching them on 15th. Now what is happening? This acceptance is completed only on 15th when X is going to read the letter of acceptance. Therefore, offer is already made. Y accepted the offer on which day? Y accepted the offer on 10th of Jan. The acceptance is reaching X only on 15th of January. On 15th of Jan. Now what is happening? In fourth point, what they're saying, if X sends a telegram, I missed fourth one, sorry. If X sends a telegram on 8th January revoking his offer and telegram reaches Y before the letter of acceptance is posted, is the revocation of offer valid? Now, what they're saying is X has already posted to Y his offer, which reached Y on 7th. Now, when can X revoke his offer? He is sending another telegram to Y. X is sending another telegram to Y, which is reaching Y on 8th of Jan, which is 2 days prior to Y making his acceptance reply. He is going to reply only on 10th of Jan. This offer has come on 8th itself, saying he wants to revoke the offer. So revocation of offer can be made before acceptance. Let me give you a simple example for this. Let's say you go for a job interview, guys. I'll give you a simple example. This might be a little complicated. Let's say you go to a job interview with ICICI Bank. They have made you an offer saying we are giving you a job for chartered accountant after you clear 10 lakhs is the annual salary. What you should do once you receive the offer letter from company, you will sign. I will make my sign and I will give the letter back to the company. Only once I sign it and give it back to the company, then there is an acceptance and I am going to start my job on whichever day they mention. Now, after they made the offer, before I signed and replied, they are sending another letter saying, sorry, the offer is now cancelled. It is not valid because of, say, COVID. Because of COVID, we are not hiring. Offer is cancelled now. You have still not accepted. Therefore, offer is cancelled. Same way here, before Y is replying on 10th, 8th itself X is sending. On 8th Jan, X is sending a letter to cancel his offer. It is very much valid. Same way in the next case, Y is responding to X. Before 15th. 15th is when the letter is reaching X. Before that day, he's sending another telegram on 14th to cancel his acceptance, and therefore it is valid. And last question, how to present an exam, guys. See, in exam, you can draw this diagram also, absolutely valid. For each point, please explain the reason also. If they ask the reason, otherwise just mention the dates. Question will be clear. Don't worry about that. Can I proceed, guys, to next question? Everyone, can I proceed? Okay. Saidharni, you can WhatsApp me in my number. I'll explain the question to you. Don't worry, you can WhatsApp me since we're running on. Everybody else have understood. You can WhatsApp me. I'll definitely explain to you. No issues. Others you understood. Okay. Next, I'll again present the questions. Just give me a second. Okay. Next. Saidharni, don't worry. If you're not understood, you can WhatsApp me. I'll again explain to you. Don't worry about that. Okay. Next. Anybody wants to read the next? Okay, next two questions I'll read. Question number 5 is very simple, guys. Differentiate between void contract and voidable contract. This is there in your textbook itself. Straight away, you can copy paste from your textbook. Obviously, in your own words. If you don't see, it is very, very hard for everybody to memorize. Maybe at foundation, you might be very good in memorizing because the books are very small. Just try to Google and see the book size of Inter and book size of CA final. They're 10 times for Inter and 20 times the size of foundation. Trust me, guys, those who are going to memorize and try to pass foundation, you can get a rank also. no doubt, foundation will get a rank, but inter and final, if you're going to memorize, it's going to be extremely hard. You need to understand the concepts. So if you know the concept and just memorize the basis, you can differentiate on your own words. Next, comment on the following. Acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. Acceptance must be in prescribed mode. These 2 points are there in the textbook. Legal rules of acceptance. I explained these 2 points in the video also. You can write on your own words. Fairly simple questions. Next. Again, question number 7A. Differentiate between void agreement and illegal agreement. Fairly simple, textbook, straightforward, copy paste questions. That's what, guys. Direct questions and differentiation questions are very easy in exam. What is important is application based question. Next, 7B. Mr. Jairam made an offer to Mr. Sriram to sell his mobile. After making the offer, Mr. Jairam died. What is the legal status of the offer made? Can you guys give me answer for this? Yeah, so all of you got the correct answer. Ronak, I'll explain in a minute before that. So all of you got the correct answer. Once an offer is made, Jairam made an offer to Sriram. After making the offer, he has died. Therefore, if you read the question, revocation of offer, one of the points says offer will be revoked or cancelled if the person who made the offer dies. Contract will become void. Correct. Saidharni correct. Contract will become void. Kriti correct answer. Darshita correct. Perfect. All of you got the correct answer. No. Sorry, Darshita, your answer is not correct. Darshita is saying executors of deceased partner will have to pay for the mobile. No. Once offer is made and he's dying, the offer becomes void. Your case will come, Darshita, I was saying deceased person will have to make the payment. Let's say Jairam made an offer to Sriram. After making the offer, let's say Jairam died later when after selling the mobile but before receiving the payment, then the legal heirs, if let's say Sriram died, let's say Sriram accepted to buy the mobile. Sriram had taken the mobile from Jairam. After taking the possession of mobile, see, assume practically, guys, let's say Sriram took the mobile from Jairam. After taking the mobile from Jairam, Sriram died. Then in that case, the legal heirs will make the payment. Next. Sanjana is asking a very good question. She's saying, what if the death of the offerer, here Jairam, is not communicated to the offeree and he accepted it? Now let's say Jairam made an offer and Sriram accepted the offer. Now after accepting, Jairam died. Okay, so her question is a very good question. So Jairam died after Sriram accepted the offer. Now for this you have to go to unit 4, which talks about performance of a contract. We have to check whether this contract can be performed by Jairaman's legal heirs. Let's say Jairaman's legal heirs are able to sell the phone to Sriram, then the contract has to be performed. However, let's say contract involves skill. Let's say Jairaman is a singer. He has taken money for singing in a marriage event. Now, Jairaman has died after making the offer and Sriram accepted. Then if he is dying, legal heir cannot perform the contract because it involves skill of the person. Then the contract will become void. Otherwise, if Sriram accepted and once contract becomes valid, if Jairaman dies, if there is impossibility of performance, then contract will be void. But if it is possible to perform by the legal heir, then the contract will be valid. Here, it is only selling his mobile. There is no element of skill here. Therefore, contract will be valid if death happened after the acceptance. I hope your doubt is clear, Sanjana. To give you a better example for this, I'll give you a nice classic example. Let's say Michael Jackson accepted to come and perform in India for a concert. All of you know what is a music concert. He'll come and sing and people will go and attend. Let's say all of us huge fans of Michael Jackson paid 10,000 rupees per ticket to go and sit in the first row. Now, event was supposed to happen, let's say tomorrow. And let's say today, unfortunately, Michael Jackson died. Now what happens? Contract becomes void because of supervening impossibility of performance of contract. entire money will be refunded back to the party and contract will be void. Clear, guys? A small example for you to understand the concept. Next. Question number 7C, explain type of contract on the basis of performance of contract. Very simple. Can you? Yes, Divya, you have to refund. Now, see, just think of this. I'll give you another example. Let's say you plan to go for a trip. You plan to go for a trip in the month of June 2020 after your exams to Europe, or let's say July 2020. Many people plan, correct? Now, when you want to go to Europe, I'll give you a practical example. You will pay 1 lakh rupees to airlines much in advance. Let's say you paid in Jan itself. In Jan, nobody knew about coronavirus, so they had to pay money to Europe. In July, entire world, no flight was operating. Everybody were in lockdown. Can you go for the trip now? No. Because of impossibility of performance, contract becomes void. Whichever airlines you paid money, they have to refund. If they don't refund, you can absolutely sue them. I'll give you another practical example. Remember the Janta curfew in the month of April or March, I think March, yeah. That one day Janta curfew on Sunday. On that day, I booked a flight ticket to go to Coimbatore from Chennai. But later what happened? There was Janta curfew, all the flights got cancelled. Now, can I get the refund? Absolutely yes. I got the refund from the flight also. That's how it works. Impossibility of performance, you will get the refund. Next. Question number 7, on the base of performance is very simple. Shrishtika got the correct answer. Executory and executed contract. Fairly simple. I explained the concept in the video also, in the concept video. Next. Let us go to the next question. Question number 8. Now, again, question number 8 and 9, I'll want people to read. Anybody wants to read, or I'll pick somebody. Riddhi, can you read the question for us? Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir. X root to y, he would be son-in-law. X root to y, his would be son-in-law, that his daughter would have to share his property after the death of his wife. Is this valid offer by X to y?
Can I get the answer? So here the question says X root to y, his son-in-law, that his daughter would have to share his property after the death of his wife. Is this offer valid by X to y? Take a minute time. You read the next question also. We'll discuss 2 at a time. Question number 9.
Yeah. A notice that the goods stated in the notice will be sold by tender. Is this a notice, a valid offer to sell?
Yeah, take a minute time, guys. We'll discuss. Take a minute time. Go through the question 8 and 9. So 8th answer, I'll just check the answers. So everybody are giving me answer for 9. 9 is fairly simple. Yes, 9 is correct. 9 is correct, guys. It is not a valid offer to sell. It's just a mere statement. Let me discuss the 8th question. See, 8th is saying X has wrote to Y, saying his would be son-in-law. So X and Y's son-in-law. So X has written to his Y, his would be son-in-law, that is daughter. Whose daughter? X's daughter. Basically, Y is the person who's going to marry X's daughter. that his daughter would have to share his property after the death of his wife, saying once X dies, his property will be shared by his daughter. Is this a valid offer made by X to Y is the question over here. Now, X, is he making an offer, guys? Just read the question carefully. He is not making any offer. He is just informing his son-in-law, saying that he's informing that he will share his property with his daughter after he dies. So this is only a mere statement. Mere statement is not equal to an offer. Let me give you a small example. Let's say yesterday I bought a Rolex watch for 25 lakhs. Now I'm coming and telling Riddhi and Darshita, hey, look at this, I bought a new watch for 25 lakhs. Now Darshita is telling, oh, I like this watch, sir. Can I buy it from you for 25 lakhs? And she's giving me instant cash of 25 lakhs to buy this watch. Is this an offer and acceptance? No, because I never made an offer to Darshita or Riddhi saying I'm going to sell my watch. I am only intimating, just making a statement that I have purchased this watch. Clear, guys? That is the difference between mere statement and invitation to offer. 9th one, all of you got the correct answer. No, it is not valid offer to sell. Next, question number 10. 10th one, Ronak, can you read question number 10 for us? Ronak, are you in the class?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. Robinson gave an advertisement in the newspaper for sale of his office furniture by auction to be held on 10 June 2020 at Rani Hall, Chennai. Ronak from Mumbai reached the location on 10 June 2020 only to realize that the auction sale was cancelled. Can Ronak sue Roshan for his expenses of travel? Advice.
Answer, guys. So Vidya has given me answer saying no. Others, can Ronak sue? Yes or no? Shristika, correct answer, no. Everybody is saying no, that is the correct answer. No, Ronak cannot sue Roshan because here Roshan gave an advertisement in the newspaper for sale of his office furniture. Roshan has not made a specific offer to Ronak. No, it is only an invitation to offer. It is only concept of invitation to offer and not offer. Ronak went to Mumbai on his own expenses. He cannot sue Roshan because it's only invitation to offer and not an offer. Correct. All of you got the correct answer. Good. Next, question number 11. Let me read this question. Y had polished X's shoes without being asked to do so. Guys, before this, see, I know it's a little difficult that you're talking to me, but you're not able to talk to others. Let 3 to 4 classes get over. Let me get control over the students who are attending the classes. Once I feel it's secure and it's fine, then I'll make it a little bit public so that you can unmute and talk freely. You don't have to ask me. Anybody can unmute and talk. The only issue was in one of the previous classes, there was an issue, and because of which I had to change the setting. So next one, Y had polished X's shoes without being asked to do so. Y does not make any attempt to stop X from polishing the shoe. Is Y bound to make the payment to X? Let me explain this. Let's say Y was on the road. X was walking there. Y came on his own to X and he polished his shoes. Now let's say you are X and I am Y. I came and polished everyone's shoes. Now what should you do? You have to stop me from doing that act. But you did not stop. You thought, okay, somebody is polishing my shoe for free. Let them do it. Now should you make the payment? Yes. Absolutely yes. Now if you see in the road, if you see in car, yeah, exactly correct. He has to make the payment because this is a concept of implied offer. By his action, Y has implied to do the act, and Y here X by not doing anything, he has given an implied acceptance. He has given an implied acceptance for the offer. Therefore, Y has to make payment to X. X has to make payment. It's a question issue. X has to make payment to Y. X has to make payment to Y. Correct. Can I proceed, guys? Vidya, correct. It is a tacit contract. It is a tacit contract. It is an implied contract. You're absolutely right. It is an implied contract between X and Y. Implied offer, implied acceptance, and it's a tacit contract. Next, Can I proceed to next question, guys? Any doubts still here? Okay. Question number 12. Now, all these are past exam question, guys. I've just summarized them. Now, from where have I picked these questions? From past exam question papers, from Institute Study Mat examples, from RTP, from mock test paper, and from other author books. And some questions I have drafted on my own questions. So it's a combination of everything, guys. We have study mat, everything, all the questions. So don't worry, I'm covering exhaustively all possible questions for a chapter in your exam. Next, question number 12. X invites Y for dinner. Y accepts the invitation but does not show up for dinner. Can X sue Y for the damages? Correct. Shrishtika and Vidya, both of you have told no, it is a social agreement. Social agreement cannot be a valid contract. Therefore, X cannot sue Y for damages. Let's take another example. Let's say Darshita has invited Sai Dharni for dinner, but Sai Dharni did not turn up. Can Darshita sue Sai Dharni? Absolutely not. So it's a social agreement. What is the concept behind this? There is no intention to make money. There is no intention. There is no commercial intention. Clear, guys? Next. Question number, what we'll do, we'll finish 13, 14, 15. I'll pick somebody for reading thing. Who wants to read? Darshita, will you read for us? Okay. Guys, I want you to be participative and keep responding. So Darshita, read 13, 14 and 15 for us. Then I'll give you all 2 minutes time. Then we'll discuss 13, 14 and 15.
Okay, sir. X agrees to pay rupees 10 lakh if Y kills Z. To pay Y, X borrows 10 lakh from W, who is also aware of the purpose of the loan. Y kills Z, but X refuses to pay to Y. X also refuses to pay the loan to W. Advise Y and W. 14th, P offered to sell 2 plots of land to Y at a certain price. Y accepted the offer for 1 plot. Is there a valid contract? 15th, Mr. A and B hired a room in a 5-star hotel for a few days' stay. When they entered the room, they found a notice in the room wall disclaiming the owner's liability for damages, loss of theft of articles. Later, some of their items was stolen. Discuss the legal position. So shall I go ahead or it's done?
Yeah, you read all 3 questions, right? So let me give some time for everybody. Let them read the question, understand, and then we'll discuss. So 13th one, all of you are given the correct answer, but guys, very, very important. Please do not write. I'm seeing somebody like Pratham and Vidya using the terms illegal contract. Shrishtika also using the word illegal contract. No, the correct term for question number 13 is illegal agreement. Now, basic rule of contract act, all of you know, the first thing you would have learned in classes, agreement will become a contract only if all the essential elements are present. So you cannot call something illegal contract. It is an illegal agreement. So all of you, it is an illegal agreement. Correct. So question number 13, it is an illegal agreement. Therefore, the entire contract and the collateral contract becomes void. Question number 13, all of you got it correct. Illegal agreement. Nobody can claim their money back. Correct. It is void. Next. Question number 14. B offered to sell 2 plots of land to Y at a certain price. Y accepted the offer for 1 plot. Is there a valid contract? 14th one answer. Is there a valid contract? Yes or no? Fourteenth one, Shrishtika says no. No, it is not a valid contract. Okay, let me explain 14th one. Darshita, your answer is wrong, Darshita. See, exactly. Now, somebody asked me earlier, can somebody explain acceptance? Sixth one, I think sixth question was acceptance should be absolute and unqualified. That is the provision they're testing in question number 14. Now, when you make an acceptance, acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. You cannot make part acceptance. See, correct. What happens here is a counter offer. See, B offered to sell 2 plots of land. Look at the question, guys. 2 plots of land. He wants to sell 2 plots of land to Y at a certain price. Let's say he is saying 2 plots of land for 10 lakhs. Y is accepting the offer only for 1 plot. Is there a valid contract? No. Here acceptance is not absolute and unqualified. There is partial acceptance. Therefore, it is not a valid acceptance. Conditional acceptance is not valid. Clear, guys? 14 question. Now, question number 15. Question number 15. Mr. A and B hired a room in a 5-star hotel for a few days stay, where they entered the room and they found the notice in the room wall disclaiming the owner's liability for damages, loss of theft or articles. Later, some articles were stolen. Discuss the legal position. Let me explain this question to you guys for you to first understand what they're asking in this question. Now, what they're saying in this question is, see, I'll explain the question, guys. What is happening here? I'm just clearing the drawing. Just give me a moment. Yeah. Now, see what is happening. Assume you're going on a trip. Say you are going on a trip with your family. Let's say you went to, from here you're going to, let's say Ooty for a small trip. And you are staying in a 5-star hotel for a few days. Now, you went, let's say Mr. A and B have entered the hotel. Let's say ITC hotel. ITC is a 5-star hotel in India. Let's say they have entered 5-star hotel ITC. When they are making an offer that they want to stay in the hotel and they made the payment. Now, after making the payment, after accepting, let's say in ITC hotel, 1 day stay is 10,000 rupees. They have paid 10,000, agreed to stay for one day, check-in time 2 p.m., check-out time 2 p.m. next day. All that has happened. Now you are entering the room to keep your luggage and settle down in the room and relax in the room. There you can see a notice in the room which is saying owner is liable for damages, loss of theft. Meaning what? If you leave your luggage in the room and you go out of the room and you come back after 2 hours, if luggage is missing, hotel is saying they are not responsible. Now, they can say they are not responsible when before payment is made, before A and B are accepting to stay in the hotel, when offer is made for 10,000 for 1 night, that offer terms and conditions itself should have all those terms that they are not responsible for theft. After accepting, later they are making a special condition saying that they are not liable for loss of theft, etc. No hotel, ITC in this case, for example, 5-star hotel cannot do that. They have to intimate it at the time of making the offer itself and not later. A and B can sue 5-star hotel and they can claim their money. Able to understand, guys? No, they can claim damages, guys. They can claim the damages. Everybody is saying they cannot claim. They can claim the damages because here the special condition was communicated later after the acceptance is made. Have you understood, guys? 15 question. Any doubts? Okay. So let me proceed. We are done with 15. We are done with the last 2 questions. Who wants to read the last 2 questions, guys, for the day? Not somebody who has already read. Harshal will get your doubt in a minute, but before, let me finish these 2 questions. Soumya, can you read the question for us, 16 and 17? Yeah, 15 I'll explain again, guys. Just give me a minute. Okay, Harshal is saying he'll read. I'll give Harshal. And then I'll explain 15th. I'll explain 15th again. Don't worry, guys. Just we'll finish 16 and 17. Harshal, yeah, read 16 and 17.
Mr. X had made an offer to Mr. Y for sale of his house for rupees 5 crores. Mr. Z responded to the offer to X accepting to purchase the house for 5 crores. Is there a valid offer? 17th, X advertises in a newspaper that he would pay rupees 1 lakh to anyone who traces his missing son.
Yeah, so take a minute time, guys. Please go through the question. Kushi, everybody asking me question for 15th. I'll explain it. Provision is not there in your textbook, but it's a special condition. I'll explain it. We'll finish 16 and 17. Take a minute time. Please go through 16 and 17. So let's discuss question number 16. Question number 16, they are saying, Mr. X had made an offer to Y for sale of his house for 5 crores. Mr. Z responded to the offer to X accepting to purchase the house for 5 crores. Is there a valid offer? Now, question number 16, let's see what answers I got. Yeah. So guys, if there is no valid offer, there is no valid acceptance. Very, very important concept. Acceptance can be made only by the person to whom offer is made. Here, X is making offer to whom? Y. Who can make acceptance to X? Only Y can make the acceptance. However, who is accepting over here? Z is accepting to X, which is not valid. Acceptance can be made only by the person to whom offer is made. Therefore, acceptance by Z is not valid acceptance. Question number 17. X advertises in a newspaper that he would pay 1 lakh to anyone who traces his missing son. Y traced the boy and claimed the amount of reward. State if Y will be entitled to receive the amount. A, if he did not know about the reward. B, he knew about the reward. Most of you got the answer correct. Yes, Kriti, correct answer. Divya, correct. Saidharni, correct. Darshita, correct. Riddhi, correct. Shristika, correct. Yeah, everybody got the correct answer. So again, acceptance can be made for an offer only if you know the offer. Here in the first case, he did not know about the reward. So he did not know about the offer, therefore he cannot claim it. He knew about the reward, therefore he can claim it. Again guys, X later it's his wish. He can pay to Y in both the cases. Here the issue is if X is not paying, is Y entitled to receive the amount? Can he sue him? In first case, no, he cannot sue because he did not know about the reward. Second case, he can sue. Who has the onus to prove it? X and Y have to prove it in the court. This is question number 16 and 17. Any doubts before I proceed to explain 15th question one last time? Darshita, in this case, let me just check. I don't remember the name exactly. I'll just check and get back. Okay. So let me present the whiteboard for 15th question. I'll explain that. Yeah, Raunak, 15th question is the same one. Raunak, 15th we already discussed. Absolute and unqualified was discussed. Now before this, can you all just type, guys, is the speed of the class fine? Can I proceed to the same way for other classes, or is there something you want me to change? You can type yes if this method is fine for all the classes. No if you want me to change something. If it's very fast, sir, please very fast. No. Feel free to discuss, guys, because yeah, it's absolutely fine. Okay. Perfect. I think everybody, I mean, everyone is saying everything is fine. Nobody's, yeah, perfect, guys. Okay, so let's discuss question number 15, guys, because many people had doubt. It's the hotel example. Let's say A and B have gone to Taj Hotel. I'll just change the example to Taj Hotel. I hope you can look at my screen. If there was some network issue today, it's definitely from my end because it's heavily raining in Chennai. So let's say A and B have gone to Taj Hotel. Now let's say A and B have entered the hotel. Let's say they have come from Germany. Example, let's say they have come from Germany. They have visited Taj Hotel in Chennai. Now, in the hotel, they have asked, we want to check in today. What is today's date? 29 September, we want to check in. 1st October, we want to check out. 2 days stay. Taj has told them, you have to pay us 20,000 totally for 2 days stay. Now, normally when you go to any hotel, what are the terms and conditions? Hotel will be responsible. The restaurant or hotel will be responsible for your luggage, correct? Especially when you're going to a 5-star hotel, they will have to take care of your belongings. Nobody can enter your room without your permission. And even in the terms and conditions where you sign, generally if anybody has stayed in a 5-star hotel, you will know this. When you stay in a 5-star hotel, they'll give you a big letter. You have to sign that, and there's a big process for check-in. It's not as simple as booking on Make My Trip. There's a big procedure over there. Now, these terms and conditions did not contain any term that property loss will be responsibility of the parties. It did not mention here. A and B from Germany saw this, they signed and they entered the room. Let's say they were given room number 101, example. After they entered the room, there they realized, after entering the room, there is a notice on the board which says A and B will be personally responsible for their loss of goods or any damage, and hotel is not responsible. Now, if A and B, put yourself in the shoes of A and B, if you were there in their position, will you accept this offer if this was given in the letter itself, in the first letter? No. These are specific or special conditions, which are communicated by the offerer here to the acceptor. After making the acceptance, he has accepted, then you are communicating. It's like, for example, let's say you are buying a car for 5 lakhs. After buying the car, Hyundai company is coming and telling you, every year you have to pay me 20,000 rupees for maintenance, for AMC, annual maintenance charges. It is not free. We will not do it for free. Will you accept for this? No. You will assume that first 3 to 4 years, car, they're going to give you free service and free warranty. If they're not giving it, if they're going to charge from you, they have to mention this before you accept the offer. Same way here, after accepting, they're mentioning some special and specific conditions. A and B from Germany, for example, here, they have only accepted for these terms and they have not accepted for these terms which are mentioned to them later. Therefore, here Taj Hotel will be responsible for this loss or damage. Have you guys understood? Yes, Divya, all the classes will continue in the same way only. I suggest all of you to watch the recording to understand the concept. If you are not having time to watch the recording, absolutely fine. Please revise at your end using notebook so that you can understand the questions much easily. So that's it for today's class. Tomorrow's, and again guys, let me again give you one more clarity. Just a second. We have classes every day. Now don't worry guys, entire syllabus on or before October 12th, I will complete it. Entire syllabus the same way for all chapters. Classes, recordings, I will share it every day for you. Live class, initially we will have it on maybe on alternate days or daily, but as the class progresses, we will have it on daily basis. So I'll mention everything in the group. Don't worry about that. All the videos will be posted in the group, and timing is fixed guys, 6 p.m. every day. It will be only from 6 p.m. and until whenever we complete the class. Sometimes might get over at 7, sometimes might get over at 7:30, sometimes might go till 8:30 also. So be prepared for average 2 hours. Whenever we're done with discussion and solving everyone's doubt, we'll be done with the class. So that's it for today's class, guys. Thank you all. Shrishtika can unmute you. Shrishtika, yes, I'll unmute you. Those who have doubts can stay, others can leave. No, not an issue. Just a minute, Shrishtika. Yes, Shrishtika, you have to unmute yourself. Thank you all. Thank you, others.
Sir, in the 16th question,
Mhm.
should we not mention the term specific offer at all, or because you didn't mention when you were discussing?
No, we have to mention it. We have to mention it. See, specifically, it is not a general offer. It is not offer made to public. Except made specific offer to Y, so only Y have to accept it. You have to mention the term.
Okay, sir. And then the 15th question,
Hmm.
after we write, yes, they can claim damages, what is the main term that we have to use in that question?
Here you have to use any special condition or a specific condition should be communicated by the offeree to the acceptor before the offer is accepted and not after the offer is accepted.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you guys. So we'll again meet. I'll post the update in the group. Thank you all.